Hello and welcome. We're the team at Vendor Society and we're sharing bite-sized vendor tips and ideas in our interview series. I'm Danny Thompson, the Senior Marketing Manager for Vendor Society and eCommerce Nurse, and I'm here with Katie Luxon, our Senior Content Manager. So on this episode, we're going to talk about emojis in Amazon content. Specifically wondering if you should be using emojis in your content. So I'm going to go through 5 rapid questions about the subject with Katie. She's uniquely suited to answer as she handles all types of Amazon copywriting for our businesses. So welcome, Katie.
Hello, everyone.
So first up, what are you seeing on Amazon for vendors when it comes to emoji use? What's happening?
So emoji use is very popular and becoming more and more a part of marketing, texting, and basically everyday interactions online. For instance, I think it's common knowledge at this point that using an emoji can increase open rates in email subject lines. And every year, new emojis come out and it just adds more and more options and opportunities to use them everywhere where we type online. So as a result, we've seen this kind of make a jump to Amazon. And at eCommerce Nurse, we work in a number of categories around the globe. So we see listings and trends on the site every day in and out. And we've definitely seen a real increase in the types of businesses and brands of all sizes across all product lines, putting emoji in product feature bullets, especially. Now, some will go real overboard and some are keeping it a little more classy. So there's definitely a wide range of attempts to spice up content. And if you shopped on Amazon, you've probably definitely seen emoji out there.
So lots of brands and vendors are going to get a bit fancy, as you just mentioned, putting those emojis at the start of bullet features. What's the Amazon policy on emoji use? Where are they standing on the subject?
Yeah, so Amazon does have clear content guidelines, but they don't really cover all use cases, of course. So there's not a specific answer to the question, can I use emoji in Amazon content? The content guidelines do specify that you are not supposed to use HTML, JavaScript, or other types of code in your product detail pages. And then another area says to use only standard text and special characters or symbols won't display, though that might be specifically for titles and other content might be different. Now, emojis are special characters, but not code. So it's all somewhat open to interpretation and how much risk you want to take with what you're doing with your content. We've definitely seen products taken down for even using like a bar in the title. So personally, I'm pretty much for sticking to the rules and not doing anything dicey. I would recommend not using it, but again, you might get away with it.
So you mentioned there the risk. What's the repercussions if you get caught doing something, let's call it creative, or that on Amazon and getting caught?
I think it depends on what you do. We tend to see many sellers using emojis, and these sellers are also usually breaking other content guidelines. So when they eventually do have issues with a listing, it's not always super clear what the reason is. Many vendors, on the other hand, have agencies or in-house people to do a lot of their content. And so the content tends to be cleaner. There's fewer black hat tricks going on, and it's just kind of a different experience. So the copywriting can be more professional, I think, when it comes to vendors. I think if you do something creative, you do run the risk of having your product suspended, if only temporarily. So that's always, what you're going to have to weigh as a risk.
So if a vendor wanted to try this, can you perhaps recommend what the safest and best way to go about it is?
Yeah, so we actually had a client at eCommerce Nurse who was willing to let us test this out. So we actually ran a test on using emojis in feature bullets. We noticed no statistical difference between the sales, conversion, sessions, or kind of anything else during the A/B test. Of course, this was just one instance, so we can't really make a blanket statement on how effective it's going to be. But if you still wanted to try it, I would say make sure you test it on an ASIN that's not going to, destroy your account or your sales if it gets suspended or if something happens. I'd also say don't go wild and pack in, 10 emojis or every possible emoji. You want to use them sparingly and ensure they'll be kind of more effective and eye-catching. Lastly, I think some products may be more appropriate for this type of thing. Maybe toys or something pet-related might be okay, but I wouldn't do necessarily like a health and wellness or some categories where you might want to maintain more of a professional appearance and make sure you're really on brand.
So if a brand decides to go against using emojis in the content, what else can they do to stand out instead?
Well, I think it's always good to optimize and continually refresh content, especially before key sales periods like Prime Day or Q4. And that's where I'd really focus on your content, kind of that bread and butter content that you're going to need to succeed, which is going to include the right keywords, making sure you're amping up organic SEO so your ads are more effective, ensuring you've thought about images, A+ content, brand stores. There are really a lot of ways to be creative and on brand, especially if you have the brand registry. and most of them aren't going to get you in trouble. So if you need help, eCommerce Nurse is kind of a one-stop shop for marketing needs, and we can offer a really cool integrated approach to your vendor business strategy. So I definitely recommend going that route.
Awesome. So it doesn't always have to be a smiley face or a winky face. There are other ways to grab attention. Thanks for your time, Katie.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you for listening to the Vendor Society interview series by eCommerce Nurse. We're a boutique agency specializing in account management, marketing and consulting for both vendors and sellers on Amazon. For more interviews, roundtables, blogs, and information about all of our services, visit vendorsociety.com or ecommercenurse.com.